Running Man. Papa never was a running man. In my dreams, he appears to me with his gunslinging gifts in black and white, and the cap that proudly proclaimed his namesake, Pops, is both that and something else entirely. A massive cowboy's hat, a chieftain's headdress, cold milk cradling stale cereal, Tom and Jerry reruns, and old Western films. Papa is horseback and leading his crew of men through Big Sky's open country. You see, my papa ain't never been no running man. Instead, he is still resolve and sheer force, agent of change. My papa could split mountains with a story and make grown men tremble. My papa could rob Peter to pay Paul and still keep everybody fed. My papa could curse the devil in his own home and be back to his wife by supper time. You see, my papa ain't never run a day in his goddamn life.
From Fox Studies by Natalia Orlovsky. On the day that Miles turns into a fox, I wake up sneezing. I lay curled on my side, facing the nightstand. According to my alarm clock, it is 6:18 a.m. I switch on the lamp on my nightstand. I think, God, who gets allergies in November? And then I notice that the topography of our mattress feels all wrong. And I think, where's Miles? And then I roll over. For several seconds, I stare at the Arctic fox on my boyfriend's pillow. The Arctic fox on my boyfriend's pillow stares back. I try to build a reasonable sentence in my head. It falls apart. I blink it back together. I need to say something. But for some reason, all I can think is, well, at least it's not seasonal allergies. How'd you sleep? I ask, finally. The fox doesn't say anything. I get up. I make coffee. I take antihistamines. I pour milk into 2 cereal bowls on autopilot before I catch myself. The fox watches me from our bed, his ears tracking my movements like lazy triangular satellite dishes. I Google, what do I feed a fox? The internet suggests chicken, tinned dog food, and maybe some cheese or fruit on special occasions. I catalog the relevant contents of our refrigerator. Leftover peach cobbler, the chicken sandwich Miles snagged from a work lunch, and 3 wedges of spreadable cheese. I stick a post-it note to the freezer door. Grocery shopping ASAP. Also, PetSmart? Should I call in sick, I ask the fox, or will you be fine for a couple of hours? He flicks the tip of his tail, indifferent. I feed him another cheese wedge and leave the cobbler sitting out on the edge of the coffee table. On my way out the door, I hesitate. The fox has moved to the armchair. There is something in his stillness that's so Miles. It almost hurts. I'll be home soon, I say. I love you. And then I step outside as fast as possible before his silence catches up to me.
Honey, after Alex Kim. Drive slow and full like honey in tea. Drive mezzo forte like rain patter that blends with the click of turn signals. Drive cool like how the asphalt air tastes with one hand on the wheel and the other out the open window, the wind your fuel. Drive loops like commercial-free radio pop, like songs long become white noise that you listen to anyway. Drive steady. Drive 15 in a 30, however the song goes. Then drive it down to 0. Don't drive. Like you and I wanted the pause, to feel presence like negative space in dust. And have you ever watched the raindrops fill a windshield from start to finish? Drive slow and full like honey and tea.
Art searched for a harmless subject. Few presented themselves and none were entirely removed from reality. All concerned real people, and though he had trained himself not to be emotionally affected by others, the thought of any relationship motivated feelings suspiciously like guilt. Limited by his failing imagination, he prepared to make a difficult decision and choose to think about a more trivial relationship. Perhaps motivated by the sound of the taxi's tires on the asphalt, Art thought of the coworker who had so kindly offered to act as his chauffeur. The same coworker had, for 2 days now, been calling to check on Art, offering the assistance of his car. Though he had declined the offers, Art had refrained from relating the story of his mother's death. He didn't wish to acknowledge condolences. Instead, he had blamed his absence on the state of his ankle, claiming that the pain was almost unbearable and so obtrusive that it wouldn't allow him to complete any task with any efficiency. Each day, the coworker had conscientiously relented before wishing Art well and offering to provide him with anything necessary, particularly groceries, as he was aware that Art was unable to travel to the store on foot. Each day, Art had thanked him for his kindness before assuring him that help was unnecessary. He hadn't informed the coworker that he was surviving on dry cereal and water. On Thursday morning, he had found that he had run out of milk. Art found it strange that the coworker was not more suspicious of his absence. Art had never missed work before. In the past, he had always been so diligent. His diligence had provided a foundation for his life. But what had that diligence been for? Diligence is commendable, but his diligence had been that of the sailboat, the unconscious acquiescence to the wind, the acquiescence of the man overwhelmed by a violent desire for simplicity. Dreaming of simplicity, he had advertised the necessity of insurance, claiming that worry was the enemy of a satisfactory life, and proposing that nothing should be valued absolutely, but that everything should be made replaceable, that a broken plate could be forgotten, and a broken ankle could be accommodated for. And his intentions were not dishonest. He had reasoned that if others were satisfied with simplicity, he could be as well, and if everyone were satisfied, wouldn't that be a remarkable thing? But now everything had fallen apart. Such a contrived philosophy cannot overpower affection for a loved one. Art couldn't rationalize his mother's death. Any impressive insurance salesman would envy his current position. He was facing an enormous sale, but the words would not escape his throat. There was nothing he could offer, nothing he could accept that would mend the present.
Glimpses toward knowing and unknowing. Well before I leave, my grandmother tells me, in Japan, the only sound you can hear on the train is the wind against the window. She is one to value comfort and quiet. I promised to make the trip to her hometown, if only for an hour, if only to have seen it. At Kyoto Station, my lover says, "Let me ride with you, I just want to talk this out." I think I am Medusa stone, but really I am movable, mutable, molded. I escape my body and submerge myself instead in those passing by. I wonder, in this country of summertime long sleeves and umbrellas, what they think of the black American with her ass out, how black my black hair is and all this stress and humidity, and can they feel that this is my home, part home, too? Do they know how long this journey has been? My lover says, "Don't try to shut me up. I will let this whole train know how I feel about you." I take stock of ghost white knuckles, hitched breath, scowl on chapped lips. In the bodies of the passers-by, I politely avert my eyes. A couple spat has no place in public. Life is too short for peace and too long for war. I watch the girl with dead eyes and her lover, too loud for the train, far above the wind's whispers. I wonder, how long has their journey been?
Their dirge. Next week, my parents will meet me outside the airport. Wind brushing neat my mother's hair. On the drive home, Laura will ask again to see the pictures of last month's dance. Raymond will open my door, then go nap in his chair through the big game. We will look out the window during sunset. Before I go to bed, they will come to my side in silence. And we will say, "James."
Thank you so much for listening to this special recorded showcase of our Spring 2020 issue. If you would like to read more from these authors, you can find our full digital issue at nasslit.com or visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/NassauLit. Thank you and have a great week.